Oh, hey guys. Let's turn the music off for this. And turn my phone off. All right. Hopefully this is going to be a fun stream where I don't have any technical difficulties. Yes, we will be covering fake news, real whisk. God. He got in bed with Jamal from The Rise of the Moors. Frauditor Troll showed the video. I'm going to show more of the actual live stream. It's 4 hours long. I'm not going to do the whole thing because I enjoy my sanity. So everybody can hear me okay? Let me brush the old beard. I'm running super behind. Well, see, Alan, Steve is probably going to... Steve is going to be moving on to a better place this weekend. And by that, I mean he's moving upstairs to clean my fiance's fish tank because her catfish is doing a lackluster job, if you will. So I will be probably next week getting a new Steve, whose name will be Steve 2, because I'm that original. So when does fake Mike, fake news don the fez? Rumor has it he wears it to sleep. I'm trying to get my office all in order. I'm super behind today. I was buying... Long story short, I got to go pick up the kids from school at 2 o'clock because the girl child was sick, and I simply was not... Steve Mark II, yeah. The girl child was sick, and I simply was not going to bundle up the other two to go get the boy child 2 hours later, so we spent all afternoon down here in my office watching movies. So I had to clean up everything down here, and then when they got home, or when my fiance got home at like 8, I had to run up to the store, and I got myself some discount energy drinks that taste absolutely terrible, but they're getting the job done. And then I pumped up her tire because it was low, because that's what dudes do. I got salt from the store, so I'm running extremely behind. I even forgot to turn off the light in the other room, so now you guys can like see shadows and shit. Apparently my kids think down here is haunted, so if you see any weird shit, let me know so I can dip out of here. Run out of coffee? No, I actually just re-upped on a bunch of coffee the other week. Hey, they're energy drinks that cost like $4 that are now a crisp $1.19. So I'm gonna buy that. Yeah, I just wish we talked about it. I'm gonna get those fancy lights and put them in front of all of the shadows. Haunted, yeah, it's a whole thing. Lordy, lordy, lordy. Be sure to check out Showcase Audits, who put out We Were the Legends of 2023 First Amendment Retrospective. Oh, God. I should try blackout coffee. That sounds dangerous, first off. Yeah, so we're going to just jump right into this video. I don't want to watch this video because if anybody watched any of the Broken System, Broken Trust video or lives that I've covered that have all been different, and I don't cover the same streams over and over and over and over, even though I've already covered them 4 times, unlike some people who are clearly hurting for views. I cut in a lot because I have a lot to say on the subject. Now, I'm going to correct him when I need to correct him, but Fake Mike Real News, I believe his name's Will Turpett, he jumps in more than I would ever jump in during an interview, and it's really fucking annoying. Let me see here. How off that 4 minutes in, I can swear already. YouTube stopped watching a long time ago. Do you have a caffeine budget for the year? No, I just... my body doesn't necessarily respond to caffeine from coffee anymore. So I'm having to find more and more clever ways to sneak a random amount of caffeine in. Oh, Mr. Diddy, you may want to fuck me, but I do not want to fuck you. I will pass. Meth is bad, bud. Meth is bad. All right, let's just get into this. Remember, Jamal from The Rise of the Moors was a Marine. We're finding out more and more people. I don't want to claim that there's something wrong with these people's brains, but you have people who literally spent years of their life defending the Constitution only to get out and immediately, I don't know, spit on it. Georgia transparency style, broken system, broken trust style, rights crispy style, angry vet style. I'm way better looking than you, dog. You look like a crackhead. You know that little skinny guy that's on social media? He's real skinny, hangs out with the real fat guys. Big old head, skin and bones. That's what you look like. Again, meth is a bad. But yeah, all these people get out of the military and immediately just go, how can I spit on the Constitution that I just served for 4 years? Jamal's one of those people. Let's just get into it again. I will gladly jump in and correct them when I need to correct him. Oh yes, speaking of that, why is he steaming from the car? He does this entire, to my knowledge, he does this entire live stream from inside of his car. 3 hours and 49 minutes and 48 seconds from inside of his car.
Live on YouTube, Facebook, and
I'll be right back.
Platform formerly known as Twitter. What is going on, folks? Will Turbid here. Fake Mike! I'm in the car. Smash the window out, bitch. Real news. Guys, cheese and crackers, man. Vegan cheese and crackers. Do we got a story for you today? We're joined by Jamal. And Jamal has not appeared on this channel for a very long time. And I've been begging him to. And he said, no. You stupid cracker. He's like, I'm not going to defile myself by lowering myself and putting myself on this camera. No. But in all seriousness, I just said off camera. And I want to thank my own conscience, racist cops and judges, and Jamal and Todd, my boy Todd from New Jersey. Now, we're going to.
The title says everything you need to know about what Will thinks about society as a whole. Racist cops and judge caught trying to frame black veteran. That's not at all what happened. I don't know how many of you guys actually know the Rise of the Moors story. It happened a few years ago. He's a Moor, obviously, Rise of the Moors. He believes in a wackadoo revisionist history where Morocco took over basically everywhere. And out of the kindness of Morocco's heart is letting everyone live there. And all that they require is, oh yeah, Moors can do whatever they want, seize whatever property they want, and you guys can't do anything about it. And anybody who knows actual history, Morocco's pretty lame. Other than the Fez, they're pretty lame. It was me and Richard were talking about the tunnel between Morocco and Spain. And yeah, it's not worth it because Morocco, again, is lame. Outside the Fez, they haven't really done anything. In the grand scheme of world history, not much accomplished. But to the Moors, they conquered everything. I'll get into it later. I'll bring it up so I could read it to you guys. But they couldn't even take over Spain. And everybody's taking over Spain. Let's get this out of the way. Greg, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. Von Kush Queen, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. We're starting out a great day. Well, I just saw it. Diluted. I bet they take government handouts, though. Incorrect. Unless you're Doctor Who, the Fez is lame. Hey, the Fez is pretty cool. The Fez is pretty cool. I'll pull mine out at some point. I just have to find it. I seem to always misplace my hats. Anywho, let's get back to this.
To it. It may not even be today. We're going to get to it. But Jamal we're gonna start with this. Jamal is a regular dude. He's somebody that does not criminal record and dutifully served his country.
Yet.
And he has one, maybe two young children, correct?
Yeah, I just had a son.
His son, man.
Born this past November. I just turned 3.
And what did you name your son's middle name? Because obviously the first one was with Fake Mike. What was the middle name?
Real news.
Oh yeah. Just kidding. Don't answer that. Just kidding.
My Marine Corps stuff.
So and guys, if you this right here, I see you got Jamie always shares this. Say what's good, Jamal. We got BAM audits, news in Fort Worth. It's actually colder in Fort Worth than it is here in Snow Island. That's crazy. Behind the scenes, Carolina. I don't know how to put on all messages. I'm just on my tablet. I need you guys to share this video. This is the story of a lifetime. And guess what? I got it. And guess what? With your help, this is like one of the choose your own adventure stories. And I'm choosing to have y'all help me, and we're gonna win. So the adventure is win. Now, before we get into the situation that Jamal is going through, and we're all going through, Bear Britain Ombudsman, if I could beg you for one share on this one, I would beg you for the share. I really beg you for this.
I don't know what's going on with this damn. I had this same problem the other day. Yeah, Mr. Diddy, we get it. You want to fuck the police. I get it. That's something you need to talk to yourself about. God. I really hope that this isn't going to stick like this the whole day. Because that would be pretty depressing, if we're being honest here. All right, let me shut some things down. And then see where we're sitting after that. Well, I mean, in the grand scheme, all these people literally stream from their cell phones. And because they keep getting arrested and keep getting their shit seized as evidence, they're probably like on iPhone 3s at this point. Ugh. Mr. Diddy is a kinky little bugger. Bet he holds pockets. 1000%. So he's a badge bunny? Yes. That's what it looks like. And then he's saying he wants to go hard. It's weird. My bitrate is actually completely fine. Thank you very much. All right, let's try this again.
This year. Snowing everywhere. God damn it. So I first came across Jamal. He was doing some awesome activism with DCYF. And that's how I met Jamal. And me and Jamal have been CFR Network. If you could share this, and Bear Britain, if you could interview this guy, CFR, if you could interview this guy.
Looks like it's doing better.
We need you. Remember Little Rascals? They were like, we need your money. Come
Mr. Diddy, I don't care that you want to do butt stuff without the old Jimmy on. That's kind of it's kind of personal, but we don't kink shame here.
Man eating again. I don't need your money. I need your shares, and I need you guys to interview this this gentleman here. So, wow, that's crazy. All right, so I met Jamal. He was to work with DCYF, which is CPS, Child Protective Services, here in Rhode Island. They've had children die and go missing in their care, actually treating the children worse than
sounds fine to me. Than
the terrible parents that should be. Roger, I need you to share this, Angel Baby. I need you to share this. This is important. I never asked you guys to really share, but we're gonna have to really share this video today. So this is going to be a several part. Every week, I'm going to be giving you another part with or without Jamal. This is the story of a lifetime here, and we're going to make sure that there is justice. So first and foremost, though, before we get into anything, I want to know about Jamal. Jamal hasn't been on this channel in a very long time, and I want people to know, who is Jamal. Let's start. I'm serious. Let's start like back in the day. Let's start early childhood, and let's tell people. Let's get the story going on, because people need to understand. Because in order to know a story, you need to know the protagonist, right? Anybody that follows Joseph Campbell knows that there's the main character, and then He grows up, and then there's like a couple, and there's some trials and tribulations, and then he gets a merry cast of men and women and trans all together, and they go through pitfalls and adventures. But guess what? They come out on top. So let's find out. Today we're finding out who is Jamal. Jamal, who are you, bro? Tell us about your childhood, man. And thank you very much for coming on and for being who you are.
It all started in my mom's womb. I was born in 1992. We bounced around I was born in Providence, Rhode Island. We lived in the projects in Kentucky for a little bit before my mom and my dad bought a house in 1999. I lived in Astoria, Queens, New York when I was young. I first experienced with shootout, what I thought was fireworks. I was that age where I didn't know what violence was and stuff like that. I think I was in several shootouts in New York. But one time, this guy came out of nowhere and scooped me up. I was a young kid. I was looking in the sky. It was broad daylight. Some guy scooped me up and brought me to my aunt's, and I ended up being. Anyway, born in 1992, lived in the projects, lived in several projects. Lived with my grandmother on my mom's side, lived with my grandmother on my dad's side, and like I said, they got their house in 1999, and that's the same house that they're still in today, and that's the house that we ended up fighting the foreclosure against, and then we ended up getting the foreclosure reversed, and my parents are still in the house. I've shared a lot of stuff on my personal Instagram and YouTube as far as like my dad teaching me to stand up to bullies, and my parents. I remember.
Tell people about your father a little bit. What did he do? I've met your father. He seems like an awesome dude, man. Like, tell people about your father and your mother if you want to, if you could.
My father was in the Air Force when he was young. He tried to get me to join the Air Force, and I ended up joining the Marines. He was in the Air Force. He actually was able to go to South Korea, which is amazing because I also ended up in South Korea.
That's why you two brothers have so much soul. Geography joke. Oh yeah.
I did go to South Korea. So yeah, my dad, he worked at the training school in Rhode Island. Him, my uncle, and growing up, all of my dad's friends were also my uncle. So all of my uncles worked for the state. They worked at the training school. So I don't know who my dad is. My mom actually worked the hospital.
Okay, so it seems like this guy has enough people. Walter, this stream is 3 hours and 49 minutes long, and I'm in no way going to cover the whole thing. I enjoy my sanity. Yeah, I can't listen to these two talk about nonsense. Oh God. Maybe. There we go. Yeah, it seems like he has enough people in his life that should have told him, "Hey, bro, you're messing up."
You'd think.
Oh God, Mr. D, you're so cringy, bro.
Did he say I don't know who my dad is? Did he actually say that?
No, he knows.
Okay, because I was transitioning into this thing, and I thought so. That's what I heard. Okay. I think.
Let's see here.
I don't know, like, if people know, and like, did you give anybody a preview of who these guys really are? Like, how dangerous these people are?
No, I was saving that for when they start talking about it.
Okay.
Because I wanted to get his story of what happened versus what actually happened. Because as you know, they enjoy rewriting history as a
that's
the whole gimmick for.
That's the whole basis of their existence is they rewrite history.
We were just refilling our gas tanks with our gas we had, sitting in the back of the truck.
We totally were not just sitting on the side of the road waiting for a cop to notice us so we could cause a stink. We totally weren't doing that. That wasn't what was happening.
So we could then flee into the woods, have the highway shut down, have everyone shelter in place nearby. Like, I forgot that part.
Spoiler alert: this man and his buddies end up shutting down a town in the Interstate 95, which is the main artery of the entire East Coast of the United States, for like 12 hours.
I didn't realize he was facing. All right, they said that he doesn't have a criminal record, and I said he doesn't have a criminal record yet. So. He's going to be a political prisoner. Absolutely. A political prisoner that Morocco does not want back. He's facing 88 years in prison.
Yeah,
So he decided, you can agree, some sovereign citizens and whatnot. Ron, what's up? From the middle of the Mojave Desert. All right, I'll try that real quick. As you guys know, I'm a caveman. I don't know about these things. Well, hopefully that helps. But yeah, instead of nickel and diming the state for driving while suspended, no registration, yada, 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 he goes, I'll just get all of it out of the way all at once. In one go, I'll just get 88 years.
Yeah. Yeah, instead of doing the frauditor subset cumulative effect where you start small, you take a ticket here, a ticket there, No. He's going to go for the whole shebang all at one time. Hello, Nightman's
Ed,
Life.
I forgot to address this. Yes, that is actually a better idea. We will have upstairs Steve and downstairs Steve, or basement Steve, my bad.
That sounds kind of creepy.
Well, current basement Steve is in a 30-gallon fish tank, and I got him when he was about this big, and now he's about this big. And Mrs. KFARR had a Plecostomus upstairs who just decided to, unalive itself. So, her
Fish
tank
tend
is
to
just
do that.
suffering her fish tank is just suffering the ill effects of just garbage. And the kids came down and like, why is your fish tank so clean? And I'm like, hey, that's Steve, man. Steve's doing his job. So now he, what's the saying? If you're good at your job, you have to do more work, or something along those lines. That's Steve. Steve did such a good job in a 30-gallon fish tank. He's now moving to a 50-gallon fish tank. That is disgusting.
It seems like a lot of people in chat are in on the story with these guys.
Yeah, and I figured a lot of people were here 2 years. I think this happened, 2022?
It was about 2 years ago. And I remember when it happened, I was telling people, I was like, I told you about these guys. Like, because I tell people about Moors and soft sits, and people were like, it wasn't as well known, I guess. I don't know. And they're like, oh, yeah, whatever. And I'm like, no, they're super dangerous. And you'll see in this video I don't know if you have the interviews, or not the interviews, the live streams or not. Do you have his live streams?
Which ones?
Jamal's.
Already made a stream. No. I have been. So I check in on people that I know from time to time. And he was one of them. Somebody said Artie made a stream when they were arrested. I was just a wee YouTuber when this happened. And I was really interested because it's like it's such a terrible life choice that I'm like I have to keep track of what's going on.
Well,
a bunch of their court nonsense, which was absolutely horrendous. You had Moors traveling from around the country to protest in the parking lot, and it's just
yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know that bit because it kind of dropped off the national radar.
Oh my God! Yes, there was actually a couple videos. I think I've done 2. Okay, it happened in 2021, and he must have gotten out in 2022. I believe is what happened.
They just for the theater of the mind out there, viewing audience, in your mind, picture when this incident that is the crux of all this happens. Our Moors here, all 11 of them, are in full combat kit. So we're talking long guns, mostly ARs, plate carriers with plates, and then the full assortment of all the other doodads between tack helmets and gloves and OCP and or other styles of camouflage plus magazines. Then the guns are slung, and they never did actually point them at the police. However, the implication was there that there's 11 heavily armed dudes sitting on the side of the road and around a shitty van was the implication. And they were making it, and despite what they say, it was a statement move on their part. And in the interview, not interviews, I call them interviews. I don't know why I keep saying that. In his live streams, he lays out a narrative over and over again that isn't quite true if you listen to what the police have to say. But let's let him yammer on and let's hear what he has to say about his so-called backstory.
Sorry, I was on the Southern Poverty Law Center looking up Moorish American, and they said that it started in the 1990s, and I'm just like, I'm pretty sure there's a few L Bays that would disagree with you, but okay.
Well, SPLC is not a very reliable. SPLC is not a very reliable source. They're they
have some good quotes.
They do, but they may play that there's some kind of not like objective organization. But if you read into them, they actually have a mission. They have a ideological mission. So you have to be careful about SPLC. But anyway, let's see what this knucklehead has to say.
Here in Kentucky, before it got closed down for all the malpractice lawsuits and stuff, them robbing old people, and they got insurance and insurance for it, but they still make them pay like a $500 copay and stuff like that. They were great parents. I was at their house last weekend, and I told them just great parents, because now I'm a dad and I have to deal with my daughter. She's 3 and tantrums and stuff like that, and it's really hard to deal with when you're trying to change her poop diaper and she's just rolling, so she's trying to touch it. So it takes a lot of patience that you're not really prepared for. I was trained to do certain things and go through a certain amount of stress, but having a child is different.
I would ask about that too, because me, he's cold. I always, like, even in your crib or even inside somewhere, I got a scarf on, you know what I'm saying? I'm cold. I stay cold. And Jamal would be outside, and it'll be like winter on, and he'll be on a t-shirt. I'd be like, what's wrong with you? He'd be like, yo, the military man. I'd be like, damn, it's true. They probably did.
Well,
but so how is it different from being a parent? What are some unexpected things? I mean, because when you're in the military, pretty much.
No, I was going to say it. He just said he admitted to he's a close friend of this guy and has been in his house. So automatically, we do not have an objective interviewer here. That's gone right out the window. There is no objectivity to this interview.
He's been to his house. He knows his dad.
Yeah, there's no objectivity here. And if anything, this is what in journalistic parlance would be referred to as a puff piece. It's designed to, help out his ego and help out his image.
Yeah, and I can tell you exactly why he did not.
Oh, 1928.
At the beginning, I don't know if you caught it. Are you talking about Noble Drew Ali?
Yeah, that's interesting.
The point where I was going to put on the fez. Yeah, is Jamal out of jail? Yeah, he's been out since 2020 or 2022. My bad, 2022. These guys are not adhering to the original concept. I forgot who it was. It might have been, I want to say Artie, but it probably wasn't. Did an interview with a Moor who basically was like, yeah, that's not what being Moorish is about. Nothing that they're doing has anything to do with being a Moor. Like, the guy pays his taxes, has his driver's license, yada, yada, yada. He's like, they are perverting what good old Noble Drew Ali was preaching back in the day.
They're almost a little bit like, I forget the name of them, and chat can help us out, but there's a group. It's very much like them that came out of England. It started around the turn of the century, 1800s to 1900s, and they are a quasi-religious organization where they believe that one of their members was the new incarnation of Jesus, and they are in the United States, and they are spreading slowly. I forget what the name of them are. But they remind me a lot of those guys, where they're merging alt history with alt religion into some sort of weird amalgamation that just is completely wrong in like every way.
Yeah, I think I made the point a while ago. Probably like 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. The prevalence of the internet. It allows you to find anything that happened in world history from your phone in 2 seconds. But because it's so easy to find information, it's also extremely easy to find misinformation.
Yeah.
It's like if somebody came to me, he's like, "Yeah, I'm actually the next coming of Christ." I'm gonna go, all right, have fun doing that. I'm never gonna talk to you again. Good luck.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of this stuff, like the Moorish ideology, starts in 1928. So you're starting in an era of an information vacuum as opposed to what we have now, which is information overload. So these people are emerging in a time at which the best source of information they have is the newspaper, and even then, those stories are being relayed via telegraph from around the world or over shortwave radio.
Yeah, it's like,
wait a minute. I think Ed209 stumbled upon a solution to one of your problems. Your new fish, Steve Elbay.
he's going to be an albino Placostomus. He can't be Elbay. He's going to be white.
That's not true, because we saw that video recently where there was that white kid who claimed to be like he thought he was a Moor.
You're right. You're right.
So, hey, how dare you judge how he identifies, okay?
Didn't Whisk Boy say he's the reincarnation of L. Ron Hubbard? Well, that would be grand. If somebody could send me that clip, that would be grand.
L. Ron Hubbard is going to write a book?
Oh, God.
Oh. Tones is in the
Yes,
house.
I had an albino. Well, it wasn't an albino Moor. It was a genuine white kid.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he was like a rookie Sovtard. He just kind of. Oh, I'm sorry, sovereign citizen.
Yeah,
he totally fell flat on his face.
He was an albino.
He ran into the wrong cop.
If he was an albino Moor, I would have floated him his Moor card. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I would have let him have that one.
Yeah, but like, you know what?
Unfortunately, he was just a plain old Caucasian.
And dumb.
Wait, was that the kid with that was his girl was drinking the piss?
Yes.
Ha, yes. So they're the, instead of the bottom of the barrel, they're the top of the barrel when it comes to
Yes.
intellectual.
Remember, I sent you. I don't think you saw it, but I sent you a video after that. There was this one chick who really desperately wanted to piss constantly. Like that was her whole thing. She didn't care. And I sent you a message that said, like, I think this chick and the girl from your last video should get together because, like, I think they could make a business model going.
Some people are so.
She was selling that, right? She was selling
the one from that video. In my head, the piss was for self-consumption, and the other weird shit in the container, she probably was selling that because she was also selling what was it? Crystals?
Yeah.
Rocks or something?
Yeah.
Tones, I wish you the best of luck in your endeavors against Jason Gutterman. No relation to the Guttermans. No relation at all, YouTube. You heard it here first.
What was that? I don't. You know what? I don't want to derail your stream. You press on with what you want to do. You're the showrunner.
No, what's up? What's up?
No, I was going to say, Tones has done a couple of exposés on some people recently. I'm not sure which one. I'm bad with names. Always have been. I used to tell students when I was teaching high school, like, I'm going to get your name wrong. Like, first day one of school, I'm like, I'm going to get your name wrong for like 6 months. Get over it now. Okay. Here's my apology.
Right when I start to learn your names, you're leaving my class.
Yeah. Here's my apology up front. I'm sorry. I'm going to get your name wrong. I'm not going to be able to say it correctly because he whispers to the side, your parents spelled it wrong. Or I just can't put names to faces. So I'm sorry. I can't remember what those names associate with. But yeah, that was kind of the funny thing. And I would say that to everybody. And like the kids, some of them would actually laugh. They thought it was kind of funny. Like, oh, okay. And some of them, I think, realized that their parents had spelled their name all kinds of goofed up and stupid. Remember, people.
I think one of my children's name is Paisley, and we spelt it normally-ish. Paislee, Paisley. Easy enough. Could have done it with the Y. Easy enough. But then the nurses were like, "Oh, do you want to spell it this way?" And they spelt it like with the GH, and I'm just like, "Absolutely not. Thank you, though. I'm gonna pass on that."
And that's the other thing. Sometimes, if you see enough screwed up names, like goofed up. Like I don't want to call them screwed up because it's their name. I don't want to make fun of kids and people like that. But like you see enough, like let's call them outlandish name spellings, that makes you second guess everything to the point where you see you're subbing for a class and you look at the roster and there's a kid's name and it says likes to be called George, and you're like, is that George? Because this is a girl. Should I say George, or is this a funky pronunciation that I don't know? Like, what do I do? And then you go, George, and you say it in such a way as to make it like take the sting off of it.
Well, so I used to run into it when I was in the Navy all the time because we were getting new people fucking every week. They would have so many letters in their name. They're like, oh yeah, those first 12 are actually silent. It's like, but why? Why have your parents done you this way? Why?
You want to say that, but as a teacher, you just kind of go, all right, duly noted. You make a little note on the roster and you move on. But then you start making notes on the roster like, oh, that's hair in the face girl, or that's never says anything person. And you say person because you don't know.
My name is spelt rodent of anger, but it's pronounced Norman Pleasure.
You're not off. You are not off base. You are not off base.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got a Moor. We got to
start this back up. Paisley L. Bay. Yes.
We got a Moor here who, and one of the things once this whole story comes to fruition, that chat should ask themselves is, can we apply the T word? I don't know, and honestly, I don't know if we can do that. But let's let the story play out and see what the chat thinks about the T word.
You know what I'm saying? So
most of that is like prepare you for violent things. Like I remember, so I was stationed on the 31st MU. All right, I was in 7th Communications Battalion. I got to Okinawa, Japan, 2011, February 2011. Right when the radioactive spill happened, I had just got there.
No, the Fukushima reactor.
That's your comic book origin.
From 7th Communications Battalion, they sent me to the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit. And in order to go on the ship, I was aboard the USS Essex before I got decommissioned, which I found out later that the USS Essex was the ship that they sent to the Bay of Pigs in Cuba. So I was on that ship. In order to go on the ship, yeah.
It wasn't the same.
You have to write a book about your life. You already wrote a book. It's going to be the links in the description. But you're going to have to write a book about your life.
Hold on.
Even if it was the same ship. Are you Googling it right now? Here's my thing. Even if it was the same ship. Even if it was the same ship. Oh, yes, Richard. The T word, like terrorist. Yes. Even if it was the same ship. Oh, you have to write a book about your life. For what? Being on a ship that did something a long time ago? Like, you didn't do anything. You were just literally there. Oh, I was there when the
he was just
spill happened.
He wasn't even crew. He was embarked personnel. He's like no different than Air Wing. He's not crew. And it was a different Essex. It was the amphibious assault ship, the LHD. I think it's an LHD or an LHA. I don't know. I don't speak Marine Corps or Navy, but like kind. It was an amphib of some kind that he was on, not the freaking Essex class flagship carrier USS Essex of World War II vintage that was then converted into a CVA, conventional aircraft carrier attack platform, and did participate in the Cuban Missile Crisis. But they're two completely different ships with two completely different missions. He is a freaking moron if he can't sort that out. He can't just stand on the deck of that thing and look at it and be like, this doesn't look like a World War II aircraft carrier. It's not as big.
I was going to say,
it's not as wide.
USS Essex LHD-2 was literally launched the year before he was born and a month after I was born. If you can't tell the difference between a 90s era amphib and again, World War II.
Right, which goes to show you how little he knows about history. Because if you open any high school history book, and go to the section on World War II, I guarantee you there will be a picture of the USS Franklin being hit by a kamikaze, that famous picture. You'll see it. And when you see that picture, it's an iconic picture. You can't miss it. Or you'll see you'll see a picture of some World War II carrier being hit by a kamikaze. And yes, Navy and frickin' acronyms. Actually, all the militaries have the acronyms. The problem is we have different acronyms for the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
So we have different acronyms for the same thing. So I will be like, hey, that's a this. And then the Navy guy will be sitting there scratching their head like, a what? I'll be like, no, it's a this thing. And they'll be like, no, it's a that thing. And then, that's just inner surface bullshit that the American military can't seem to figure out how to fix. But this actually is a pointer to how little this guy actually knows. And it goes back to something I've always said about both the frauditors and the sopsits. And to paraphrase Ronaldus Magnus, aka Ronald Reagan, it's not that they don't know anything. It's just so much of what they know is wrong. So already he is proving to us his level of intelligence, and I'm underwhelmed. Central Office for acronyms. You want a central office for acronyms? No, keep it running. Keep it running.
My parents have to write a chapter or two, but they have to write some of it. I write some of it. My relatives have to write some of it because
they're going to have to write some of it because you're going to be in prison.
Just what I remember.
And hopefully we can get these people on to talk about too. But you talked about how you're on that. So hopefully you said you were on that same ship, right? And the Bay of Pigs.
Yeah. So what I'm getting to is before you're on a ship, there's a chance that you might be on a helicopter. So before you go on the ship, which may lead you to a helicopter, you have to go through something called egress training. If you don't know what it is, just YouTube videos of egress training. They put you in a simulated helicopter and they dump you in the pool, and it floods. You have to go upside down and you have to escape. So I go through egress training, which was probably the hardest thing in my life because I felt like I was going to drown, and the instructors just watched it happen. And you have this little tube of oxygen that goes right here with the little breath thing, and there's 2 ways to clear it, or 3 ways to clear it. One is press it and the oxygen pushes the water out. The other one is you exhale, which pushes the water out. And then the third one is a combination of the 3, or a combination of the 2, which is the third one. So you press the oxygen and breathe out, and it clears the mouth guard of the water. So, you're upside down and you have to do this. And you have to do this like 3 or 4 times. So you're already soaked and tired. And there's a knob that shows you how much oxygen you have. When it's green, it's good. When it's red, you're running out. So I'm upside down. I try to clear the mask. I thought I cleared it. I inhale, and now I have water in my lungs. So technically, I'm drowning. And I'm trying to press more of the oxygen because I'm thinking there's more water in the mouth guard, and it's not. It's in my fucking lungs. So I'm pressing it. And by the time I finally cough out, I guess, the water, my tank is on red. So I'm scared. Then you have to push the glass, the fake window out, and then swim through the window and swim to the surface. Anyway, I was fine.
KFARR.
But I feel like that was one of the most serious things besides,
Si, senor.
Can you pause?
Yeah.
So I think this might be why a lot of this early crap didn't show up in FT's videos, because of the poor quality of the connections that they had. But also it's because it's useless. It's very dumb. Like, this guy's talking about helicopter egress training. Yes, they dunk you in a pool 3 or 4 times, and you're supposed to get out of the helicopter. It's not even a helicopter. It's just like a form that kind of looks like the inside of a helicopter, and you're supposed to find your way out. They do it, I think, 3 times with lights on and once with the lights off, so you can't see what you're doing, or they blindfold you. I think they put like blindfolding goggles on you to do it. But guess what? Guess who's there every time you do it? There's a diver down there with you. So this guy who got water in his lungs, which will happen in those situations, you're supposed to signal the diver to help you at that point, because you won't get DQ'd for that. That's a medical problem, and they'll just have you run it again, because when they do these things, they run tons and tons of people through there. So it's not like a one and done kind of situation. But yeah, it is not fun. I've never done it, but a lot of the people I know have. When you work in Guard Reserve Forces in the civilian contractor sector, you run into a lot of people who have done a lot of things. And it's not a fun thing to do, but it's not exactly hard. It's just once you figure it out, once you get the quote unquote cheat code, it's not that big a deal. It's just getting over that initial hurdle of being upside down underwater. Because they'll strap you in. They'll like put you fully strapped in, and then you're in a uniform, not like a bathing suit or anything like that, and you have to like work your way out. So it's not as bad as it seems. It's one of those. It's more scarier than it is kind of deals. So I get it. But this whole first part of this is him making a big deal on nothing. Obviously, he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about because he thinks he was on the same aircraft carrier that was in the Bay of Pigs. I'm not sure why he didn't notice the fact that it wasn't. I don't know.
How to tell if you're on a helicopter carrier versus a really, really old aircraft carrier. One has mainly helicopters,
and two,
and one has World War II.
One, well, the CV when they were upgraded to CVAs, they had an angled flight deck. There's a cue right there. There's one. There's a clue. Angled flight deck. And the LHDs, what do they have? Oh, they have a well deck. Landing helicopter dock. That dock is the well deck. They can flood the bottom of the boat a little bit. The boat sinks in the water. Water comes into the well deck, and then they can drive boats, LCACs, and amphibious vehicles up into the back of the boat of this big ship. Was he in the same cruise, McCain? Yeah. But no, I think like
For those of you playing the game at home, he can't tell the difference between USS Essex CV9. Let's bring this up. Actually, let's messing my whole setup here now. Bang. He can't tell the difference between this one. Maybe I should put it on screen. That could probably help out the whole class.
Yeah. So the one second from the
USS Essex CV9.
The 1 second from the right, on the top row, second from the right, that is the CVA configuration of USS Essex. That is the post-war, that is the 50s, 60s config after it got the slanted deck and had all of its 5 inches removed. And that's probably its most modern configuration is that one there.
And this is the one that, because, again, I have the technology to Google things.
The super secret CIA technology.
Yeah. The Google box, if you will.
Yeah. They look a bit different.
I can probably tell you from experience, the rust difference on them alone, you'd be able to tell if one was from World War II and if one was, basically built in these 80s and commissioned in the 90s.
And what I think is funny about it is like the frauditor is like, oh, you really need to write a book, man. Like that's a lot of cool stuff. Like you were on that ship. Like he's making a big deal about he was on the ship that was in the Bay of Pigs, which probably to them is some sort of crime America committed against those freedom fighters in Cuba.
All right. I'm going to jump this video, actually, to right here. I already jumped it, to when, I'm drawing a blank on his name, so when he pops up, we'll just figure it out.
Our Declaration of Independence says the reason why we have the United States is because people are born with unalienable rights. One of the most obvious ones is the right to defend themselves. And the reason we have a government is to protect our rights. And but this guy, he's black.
No.
Not 5. The crazy shit about it's not 5, 10 years. It's 88 years, bro.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No one was hurt. Not a bullet was fired. No gun points at.
Here's the deal. who has regularly been proven to be wrong. He just kind of eats the sovereign citizen nonsense up.
He sounds smart enough to pass, is what he does.
I have a green screen. I clearly know what I'm talking about.
The guy said that the government exists to protect our rights. The government does not exist to protect our rights. It exists, well, partly so, but it also exists. It exists to not interfere in our rights, but also to protect our ability to have them, aka ensure secure borders, ensure financial livelihood of the country. So basically, ensure that we can have free trade, both domestically and internationally, and to ensure that interstate commerce happens. Its sole purpose is not to ensure our rights are protected, because obviously it doesn't do that very well. I'm not trying to sound like one of those people, but like the government has overreached a lot in terms of the constitutionality versus what they think they can and cannot do, especially with the alphabet agencies. But he's not telling the whole story of why there's a federal government. In fact, if you go and read the Federalist Papers, there's a reason why they're called the Federalist Papers.
Oh, don't say the Federalist Papers or the Anti-Federalist Papers 3 times, because then Rogue Nation will appear.
Oh, whatever. He can debate me on it if he wants. The point is that there's a lot that goes into what our federal government's supposed to be doing. Protecting our rights, no. Ensuring, yes. Big difference. Because if the protector can take away, like you're a dad, right? You protect your kids, but you also can take stuff away, right?
Mm-hmm. That's factual information.
But as a parent, you know what you can do? Your job is to guarantee that your kids can have everything that they want, or at least as much as you can provide, right? You're a guarantor. And that's what the federal government's supposed to be. They're not supposed to be a protector of our rights, because the protector is also the keeper. And that is just not what it was designed to be. And that's where these guys, they have like, if the knowledge of Constitution is 3 feet deep, and if you got to the bottom of those 3 feet, you got all the knowledge, they're at the 3-inch mark. That's where they're sitting right now.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, they don't want to talk about what it actually is or what the Constitution actually means or what the government actually means, because it doesn't fit their narrative of, well, I'll just make up what I feel.
Right, and if they do, if they do talk about it, like in this instance, they'll just rewrite it.
Yeah, none of them. Oh God, it angers me so badly, because it's like, just comprehend what's written and go forward. But instead, they just like make it up on the spot for views on YouTube.
And
I guess
some of it is that way, and some of it's like they all want to be their own little Supreme Court justice and interpret things the way they see fit. And then, or they heard something from someone who said something. I mean, how many videos have we all seen, chat, you, everybody, have we all seen? Put a 1 in chat if you've seen a video where somebody said, I know my rights. You can't do that. I know my rights.
My rights.
And
shit, it's like,
and they were wrong. They were patently wrong.
Yeah, they want to be their own Supreme Court judge, and most of them are like high school dropouts that spent more time in prison than in school. It's like,
correct.
Nailed it. All right,
yeah,
here we go. I just want to see what Here's the Deal has to say.
Yep.
The police. In fact, when you watch the YouTube live,
or if he's just gonna sit there like this,
in order to make sure that I wasn't murdered, you'll see that we reassured them that we weren't pointing anything at them. Don't point anything at us, because it just would have been terrible.
One of the most heroic things I've ever seen, because I've said this about Jamal in the past. I've said it about him to his face. I've said it behind his back. I said it on and off camera. I've met many activists over the years. I've traveled this country. I've met many activists. Jamal is the only person, well, not the only person. He's one of a handful of people I know that he walks a fucking talk. He's out there. He's done countless homeless drives. He's done countless giveaways. He's constantly in the streets, reaching out to people, talking to people, right? This guy actually walks the talk. And again, the way you handle that situation, as I was watching it live, I'm watching real life history. I'm watching a hero. The way you handle those tyrants, because me, I get upset just about this shit. And the way you handled that was amazing. Brian, welcome to the stream. Jamal and Brian, I'd like to introduce you both. Brian, you can. I kind of gave you a little introduction. If you want to introduce yourself, Jamal is a Marine Corps veteran facing 88 years in jail coming up very soon. And the news just says, oh, he's a black piece of shit. And so, I mean, they're just gonna throw his ass in jail for no reason, with no criminal record, and he's a Marine. I'm gonna shut up for a sec, but
Hang on,
you guys, Brian, welcome to the stream. How are you today, brother? And thank you for joining.
Yep. Yeah, what's up?
So he pointed out something. He said he couldn't handle the tyrants like that. And how many times have we seen the frauditor in a situation of confrontation with law enforcement go off, right? They have that obstinate defiant disorder. If any disorder they have, and we've all talked about it in various ways in different places, if there is a psychological disorder associated with them, it's probably some flavor of obstinate defiance. And he just said he couldn't have handled that. He couldn't have handled those, air quotes, I make air quotes with my fingers, tyrants coming at him, air quotes, like that. And he gives him props for not doing what he would have done in that situation. So that gives you another look into the mentality and the psychology of that goes into what leads into someone becoming a frauditor, or where they're coming from emotionally, because it's clear that they all have an emotional drive. These are not, they want to say that they're journalists, but they're not objective journalists at all. They don't pursue any level of objectivity or have any kind of underlying thesis that they're trying to prove with their footage or their data. Oh, there's a birthday. There's a birthday.
Oh, shoot. Sorry, I was reading up what is actually.
It might be yours.
Yeah.
Yes, they are all the cluster Bs. Scott McRae nails it on the head. And I talked about this with KTZ once upon a time. They are all of the cluster Bs all rolled into one. Various different levels and different places, but they're cluster B to the fullest. However, the more that you can see that now, we can see a psychological distinction between the Moor and the frauditor. They're basically at like a 15 to 30 degree offset now, because the Moor didn't have the same reaction. His reaction was much more passive to the way the frauditor would have done it. And it shows that although he does have a delusion, he's not reacting. So first of all, keep in mind this, he's only a veteran in that he was deployed on a warship. And it has no effect on anything. Just because
let me touch on that for a hot second. I forgot Erica gifted 5 memberships a hot second ago and forgot to read it off. And then Yvonne Cush Queen I wanted to say it was pounds for the 10. Thank you. And yeah, my birthday is tomorrow at whatever time. I don't even remember, but I'll be live streaming tomorrow night. But yeah, I talked about this at length. How does a person's veteran status affect their guilt or innocence? Turns out, I'm pretty sure you know as well as I do, I know a lot of people that have the veteran status that are absolute pieces of shit garbage human beings.
Yeah.
So why they think it's like, it automatically makes you a good person. It does not.
No. So he was in comms. He said he was a communications person in the Marine Corps. So he was depending on where he was, if he was at like a platoon HQ or if he was attached to a headquarters squad, he was in the whole like grunts on the ground kind of thing. But he could have been what the Marines refer to as the ass or the trash, the ass and the trash in the rear, or the trash and the ass, or I forget what they call it. But long and the short of it is, it doesn't matter where he was or what he did. Yes, he was in the Marine Corps, but that does not exhale him, or what's the word? Absolve him from any wrongdoings. You're still expected to conduct yourself correctly once you leave. There's no get out of jail free card that they issue you with your DD-214. It's like you get your DD-214 and then you're looking and they're like, what do you want? Like, I want my get out of jail free card that I'm supposed to get. That doesn't happen. You don't get that. You're expected to continue to be, you know, an upstanding member of society. But now you have the added hindrance of the fact that everything you do from here on forward will be, if you like, I don't know, you get drunk one night and go driving and you crash, you know what's the headline's going to be? It's going to be U.S. Air Force veteran, U.S. Navy veteran crashed his car. It's not going to be you. It's going to be your identity as this veteran. So what he's doing now is he's tarnishing the reputations of other veterans by doing what he's doing. And it pisses me off that
yeah, Richard, I know a shit ton of absolutely scummy Marines specifically.
Right, especially the lower enlisted guys who don't make it. They do that one enlistment and they get out, and they don't make it for a very good reason. Like, I'm sure you had at least one dude who came into your shop and you basically were like, this guy's not going to hack it. He's a problem.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Yeah. We all have them. We had one. He came in. He was maybe a year. He was probably about 2 years into his enlistment. Next thing you know, and KFARR knows the term SARC. Military vets will know the term SARC, sexual allegations, something.
Yeah.
Essentially, SARC is a group of, it's a board of NCOs, senior NCOs, that their job is to make sure you have somebody go talk to if you've been sexually assaulted or harassed or something like that. He had a bunch of SARC allegations, then he went AWOL, and then we never heard from him again. So, like, everybody has that person who no, SARC with a C. I don't know what the C stands for. Counsel. I think it's counsel. It's like sexual assault, rape counsel or something like that. And it's like this independent thing. It actually was created, sadly, it was created for a good purpose, but what it became was a thing that if you volunteer to be on the SARC council, it was like a notch on your belt kind of thing. It would help you get promoted, is what sadly it became, at least in the Air Force. But anyway, let it fly. Let it fly.
Serially obliterated, nothing like that, nothing whatsoever. And most of that case that's provided on my site, I was able to find in jail because they give us access to LexisNexis, which is like a legal thing where you can look up cases and stuff like that.
Right.
And you know, you'll see case law on there where it's specified, you know, federal courts in some of their decisions that were later on affirmed by the Supreme Court in Heller 2008. They were saying, you know, the Second Amendment is an individual right. They say things like the militia isn't just subject to state control and leadership. They're saying that is true regarding the Second Amendment, everything that people have been saying for years with the Second Amendment. And one of the biggest injustices is the fact that in, I believe it's Miller versus Bonta in 2021, they specified for, you know, since the 80s, most interpretations of the Second Amendment was wrong. That means hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people, and sent to prison, not just jail, sent to prison for simply exercising their Second Amendment right. And most of them made the argument that it was an individual right, and the courts just struck it down. Only until 2008, when the Supreme Court said it's an individual right, was it finally decided that it's an individual right. But what about all those thousands of people that had to go to jail and spend money on commissary and spend money on phone calls, and families that were destroyed just because people had a firearm on them? They weren't going out to rob anyone, steal anything. They just had a gun.
Right. If
that's the case, then every single police officer should be in prison. They got guns. But then when you read the slave laws, when you read the actual slave laws, it says that slaves can't weapons unless they have permission from or they wear a marked badge. That's slave law. And that's exactly what the colonists fought against with the war with Great Britain.
He is.
I definitely. I want to get the bigger channels like James Freeman, Lackluster, audits.
So we stop. So slave laws were all state laws. They were all local laws. He's making gross generalizations that make no goddamn sense. Police officers, they have reciprocal carry laws that cross the nation. After 9/11, actually, they were local police were even allowed to carry on aircraft and stuff like that. That makes no sense. That argument is. Am I being muted occasionally? Am I coming through clear?
Yeah, you're good. Or I can hear
Okay.
you just fine.
All right.
I'm sorry if I look occupied. I'm reading Miller versus Bonta from 2020.
No, you do that. I'll vamp for you. But like all that's bullshit. No, law enforcement officers implicit with their every state has a police commission. The police commissions grant them special police powers. Once that happens, one of those powers is the ability to carry within the state that they're in. So that's a completely legal thing. It has nothing to do with the Second Amendment. Now, am I a proponent for constitutional carry? Yes. So that's the caveat going into this statement. Yes, I'm a proponent for constitutional carry, and that's my interpretation. Yours may vary. Your mileage may vary. But what he's getting at is there are not hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people who went to jail for just simply having, quote, a gun on them. Okay. In fact, in some places, just not carrying the gun, like carrying a gun when you're not supposed to, was a misdemeanor in some places. Like if you have a CCW and you go into an establishment in some states where you're not allowed to carry in that location, they'll just either tell you to leave or put the gun away in your car. And if they really want to prosecute you, it's a misdemeanor offense. It's not a federal offense. You're not going to go to jail. More than likely, you're going to pay a fine and stuff like that. The problem that these guys that he's getting into is he's stating all of this crap as fact. And when you do stuff like that, and you've been elevated onto the platform of quote unquote honored guest, well, so Walter Gavin says, wait until he gets into the part of Young v. Hawaii. Yes, I understand that. But see, here's the thing. If your state, so for instance, for the state I live in, any concealed carry permit goes between a little committee of state troopers. For the longest time, that committee was populated entirely by a bunch of old troopers who thought it to be a very, very cushy job, and they got that job by becoming political allies with with the governor and governor staff type people. I disagree with the concept of having small committees of Leos deciding who gets firearms permit and who doesn't. However, I don't disagree with the fact that if I do a background check on you and I see a bunch of violent shit in your criminal history, maybe I don't want to give you concealed carry. Maybe. So, like, it's a complicated subject, and it's something that would probably no one of us here is qualified to answer or come up with said solution to. I don't pretend to be the arbiter of that information. I don't know how to fix that. But what he's getting on about is just more like what KFARR said earlier, revisionist history. He's revising, he is creating a new narrative for how history works to increase his, and KFARR knows this, increase his victimhood.
Yeah, Firefighter 936. This whole live stream is just me saying, well, I talked about this a long time ago. Yeah, I've gone into this. If someone you're booking or someone you're arresting looks at you and goes, you don't need to worry, I'm not going to fight. That's normally the person that you have to worry about fighting. If somebody has to tell you, oh, I'm not going to do X, Y, Z, that's the one you have to be worried about. Again,
and that's what.
If let's just see here, because it's technically called the Wakefield standoff. Let me read this so that we can get into the context of what was happening. Members of a militia group called the Rise of the Moor, some of whom were armed, and state and local law enforcement on Interstate 95 in Wakefield, Massachusetts. That's who it was between. This incident began when an officer with I almost said Michigan. Massachusetts State Police responded to stopped vehicles and allegedly found several in the group carrying long guns, sidearms, and wearing body armor. Police said the group claimed to be traveling from Rhode Island to Maine for training on privately owned land. The standoff lasted several hours and resulted in 11 arrests, 10 of whom were adults and one was a child. So if you roll up on random people on the side of the road, apparently they were refilling their gas tank. That's what Jamal says. Why are y'all armed like it's a fucking zombie apocalypse and you got the last fucking oil on the planet? Like that's not my move. I know if I had my concealed carry and I was carrying and I had to check my tire for whatever reason, I'm not going to bring my gun. But these guys found it necessary to go full body armor.
Check Discord DM. I sent you a picture of Jamal in all of his tactical glory.
Oh yeah, my man's looking tactical as fuck.
Yeah. So it's like he says in one of his streams, he says when they got out of the car to refuel their vehicle, he says, we didn't want to go to a gas station because we didn't want to, quote, cause a scene. Okay. As someone who, I don't know, if you're in chat and you've worn a plate carrier for any length of time with full battle rattle, you probably understand this. There is nothing fucking comfortable about going for a goddamn road trip wearing full battle rattle and plate carriers.
How many frauditors wear plate carriers to fraud it? I've seen a couple wear what looks to me like
some of the
airsoft vests with no plates.
Some of the cop watchers, the like more like hardcore cop watchers do. And I kind of don't blame them because they tend to go down to the real shit zones where metal tends to fly at more than 900 feet per second. But like, I don't know what quality they are. They're even real.
So apparently it popped up. Let me see here. Jules knows. They were playing militia. No one had a driver's license and they were told to leave their IDs at home.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. When the first officer approached them, he wanted their IDs, and that's what started the standoff because they went through the whole script. I don't know if the body camera ever got out, and I don't know if it ever will. But the body camera would be interesting.
It'll probably get out after everything's done and they're in jail for 88 years.
Hey, look who's here, KFARR.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say George Metz, everybody.
Hey, but put the picture up. Put the picture up of tactical Jamal. Because if we're going to jump to the crux of this, let's have a visual representation of these knuckle fucks.
Sorry, I was peeling the stickers off my energy drinks before I opened them. Oh, let's see here. Open in browser.
He's got a shamog and a helmet that's way too small for him because of the shamog on top of his head. Or is it shamag? I never knew how to pronounce that. I like those things. I have one. I had one for Afghanistan. It was great.
And that's the thing you have to realize is that there were 10 people looking like that stopped on the side of the road refilling a gas tank.
You can see under his left armpit the sling to his long gun. You can see the mags in his mag pouches. He's got a body camera.
Yeah, and I was about to point that out. He's got a body cam on, which means more than likely they were doing this for some sort of reaction. Because you're not going to, even if you're going to say, oh, I was wearing it for training. Well, if you were traveling in between states, I'm pretty sure the training wasn't you driving through, Wakefield, Massachusetts.
He made a huge point about like, oh, we have all this camping gear. We're just going up to our property to train. And we only put on this stuff because we were scared. But before that, he said, we got out to refuel and then an officer came. So did you get out to refuel or did you get out and we're scared? What chicken or egg? How did this happen?
Richard,
come on.
I don't even see Rogue Nation pop up in my chat. I'm taking everyone's word that he's here.
I saw it, but I think he made
it went up. Let's see here.
He said, but not you read. But not you read.
Oh. Whatever that means. No, so
it's not 20 people with weapons. Constitutional carry does not mean you can show up on a highway with 20 armed people with long guns and sidearms. Constitutional carry means that you can have that it's state. So it means basically that the carry of a sidearm or an arm can be done in a non-confrontational, and it can essentially, you follow all the same rules that apply to being a CCW holder, but without having all the regs on the books, essentially.
Yeah. So this is the point I was going to make. Let's go back to George Washington. George Washington and the fucking boys are going out. They're riding their horses. Yada, yada, yada. I don't think on the way to dinner, they're going to stop with all 20 of them having muskets and their military uniforms on to feed their horse a cob of corn, an apple. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I feel like even then they're going to be like, George, what you doing?
No, that's not the best. The best analogy would be like, imagine like the South Carolina militia, right? Deciding that they're going to go out and make a run to go pick up some, supplies from the local trading post in full militia kit, and then hold up the entire road because they decided to stop to feed their horses. And then they decided and then everybody's like, why are there fully armed soldiers in the middle of the road? And everybody's just like, what's going on? Why are they there? There's no reason. And especially in modern society, if you have a CCW, you're taught, hey, don't make a scene, don't make a big deal. Like this falls under disorderly conduct clause. It falls under
it's like if I had my concealed carry and I lifted my shirt and just started pointing at it as I was walking through Walmart.
Yeah, it's called brandishing. I'm not copsplaining.
And if you want to know about brandishing, ask Lucky Laptop News.
Yeah, I'm not copsplaining because I'm not a cop. I'm talking from the perspective of a citizen. Like one with common sense.
You clearly don't care for your animals like George Washington did.
Well, see, when you're in a military uniform and you stop to do something like that, that's fine. Like we'll do military comedies all the time. I used to live near a really huge U.S. Army base, and they would go convoying down I-95. I feel so sorry for those guys because if anyone here has driven a Humvee past the speed of 30 miles an hour, you know the pain that they endured. But they would go down 95 in these big convoys, and occasionally they'd have to stop for a broken Vic or something. And yeah, it's a pain in the ass. But those guys aren't military; they are civilians. And the funny part is, in his own streams, you can hear them shouting at the police, hey, we're foreign nationals. But then he's telling the police, hey, we're following all of your rules. It's like, what do you want from, what are you Americans or not?
They're innocent. They were wearing funny hats. Case closed.
Are you an armed military invader? Are you an armed invader from a foreign
military? Military animals are animals too. Hashtag animal rights from Mears and Burns sitting in a tree fisting. I treat my llamas very well.
Well, let's see what else happens in this because you're not even.
Okay.
You're not even to the good part. You're not even.
George, I have to address this. 20 kids in my high school would have fully loaded guns, gun racks on the back of their pickup trucks. Never got bothered. Again, it's almost as if you turned your hearing aids off for like the last 10 minutes of conversation.
Yeah.
If they had their guns just chilling in 20 separate vehicles in your example, and none of them had anything to do with each other, I'm almost positive they wouldn't have been bothered either. But it's the fact that they were 11 people fully kitted out on the side of the road, stopping traffic. Like your attempt at a comparison is not.
I'm perfectly cool with that. My grandfather used to take his 22 with him to middle school so he could hunt on the way back from school. That was in the 1930s. But like these guys stopped to fill their truck with gas and jumped out of their vehicle fully kitted. That is the only reason why the state trooper went to investigate was because he saw these dudes with that looked like they were like a bunch of operators about to go storm Al Qaeda compounds. Okay, like this was on purpose.
Now I have to look this up, Richard.
You're derailing
I don't know
things,
what I would
Richard.
look up.
I was trying to get him back on course, and then you guys just all screwed it up.
All right, we'll watch it while I Google. I can multitask.
Because really what we need right here is a wide viewership, because unfortunately the tyrannical government that we have will only acquiesce sometimes if they get massive public outrage. And that's really what we need in this situation.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's sad, man. There's people just sitting in jail just because they were keeping and bearing arms. There was no criminal intent. There was nothing. And what's crazy is August 3rd, 2023, Coffey in Lowell District Court had a case before him. One from New Hampshire was exercising their Second Amendment right in Massachusetts, and they dismissed the case against him because they said it's constitutional for him to turn into a felon the moment he walks into Massachusetts when he's got a Second Amendment right in conformity to New Hampshire. So how come it doesn't apply to me?
Right. What state were you in again?
I'm from Rhode Island, and we were going to Maine.
Okay. And what are the specific gun laws in Rhode Island? Were you stopped in Rhode Island?
No,
or
we
Maine?
were stopped in Maine. So there's also YouTube video footage on my YouTube channel of me calling the Tucket police saying, "Hey, Jamal, I'm in charge of a local militia. We're going to be patrolling on these streets. So if people see us, don't be alarmed." And I got that recorded. They drove around several times. They seen us. No arrest, no problem. Because in Rhode Island at the time, where I purchased all the magazines, all of my ammunition, all of my arms, you could open carry what they considered a long rifle. And since my arrest, they changed that.
Right. Okay. So I'm on your YouTube channel right now, and the video that has 206,000 views is "We Are Not Anti-Government." That's one of those, right? Yeah. Now, where's your body cam footage video? Do you have that in there too?
That's on a hard drive that the prosecutor gave us as evidence. I haven't been able to upload any of that.
Okay. Are you representing yourself in this case, or do you have somebody?
Yeah, I'm pro se.
Do you need legal help, like from?
I mean, I would love
if he's pro se.
Firearms Policy Coalition could get involved, because they're the people behind Bruin. They're the people behind versus Bonta, and
they're not going to help him. They're not going to help him.
I was just about to say, oh God, I forgot what it was. The USCCA just dumped somebody. So it's like if the USCCA, which is like the fight, for those of you who don't know, it's like the firearms insurance people. If they're dumping people, I'm pretty sure the people who did he say? I know for that it was the Bruin case was the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association.
Yep.
At no point are they going to be like, oh, armed guys who ran from the police, hid in the woods, and shut down like a city and the highway. Yeah, we're probably not going to represent you. We don't want our name anywhere near you.
Well, and that,
like, we would wish you would just go to jail for 88 years and stay.
That leads into the additional delusional factor. So, like, the frauditor, their delusion lies in their quote unquote superior understanding of the law and their superior knowledge. The sob sit, same thing, just different knowledge, different understandings. When you go to the Moors, it's the same thing, different understanding, different knowledge. In their different understanding and knowledge, it's that he wants to think that although he can claim to be a foreign national and claim to be operating here under some kind of freaking treaty or something, he can still abuse the rights granted to and provided by God to us and enshrined in the United States Constitution via his crazy logic. The USCCA will look at these guys and just be like, no.
They'll laugh and be like, why would we do such a thing?
Yeah,
like if, okay, the USCCA seems like a great idea if you do whatever you're doing legally.
Yeah, like
at the first sight of you doing this, they're going to be like, yes, your policy doesn't cover trying to incite a shootout with police.
No, exactly. Like,
sorry,
nothing those guys did would be covered. USCCA would just be like, nope, violation of policy. That makes it null and void. Yeah. You're done.
Your policy is now void.
Yeah,
sorry.
I have an insurance license. Like, they would be done. Like, they would be done.
Richard, They say, cited some gun laws in California. They also cited an overturned gun law from New York, which is what initiated them kind of tossing away the California
The
attempted gun law. But it's like, it's not exactly what they said it was, which is the problem with people in prison that are pro se using LexisNexis to just search things.
and this is more, and that's a great point that you brought up there. We know that the Sovset mentality spreads through the prisons. Daryl Brooks, perfect example, big, huge example of all of that. But if you look at at least you didn't clickbait by calling Moor a frauditor.
I was just about to address that. Well, the thing is that Moor also has done audits. So
and also
he's one of your
the interviewer, aka the guy with the glasses, is a frauditor. So you're trying to assume that FT did what he's trying to say is that FT did a clickbaity thing, and he's wrong.
We'll wrap this up in a nutshell right here. Jamal from The Rise of the Moors is a Moor who has done audits. Fake Mike Real News, Will Turpit, is a frauditor who dabbles in being a sovereign citizen. Brian from what is this shit? I already forgot what it's called. He is a sovereign citizen that supports frauditors. So it's like you've got all three of the most.
That right here is the nexus. This is the
brick.
Wait. I'm gonna have to quote GW. This is the what did he call it? Oh God, why can't I remember right now? I just had it in my brain and I just dumped it. Chat, help me. The blank of evil.
George, if I would have
blank of evil. Help me.
If I would have yeah. If I was going to title this, I wouldn't have titled it that way because in my head, from the thumbnail even, it makes it seem like
Axis of Evil
facing 88 years. But oh God, what did that dude call it? What did people call it?
It's the axis of evil. We got a frauditor, a Moor, and a Sovset all in one place.
Was it Brazil, Russia, something, South Africa, China?
No, but this is the axis of evil all in one place. We got a frauditor, a Moor, and a Sovset. We got the triad of stupidity. That's a good name for it. We got the tri-powers of stupidity going on here. Because and what he's talking about right now and what he's doing is he's just further leading us into a confirmation of some of the beliefs that I've had and others have had, confirming theses that we have had, such as the fact that he's unwilling to, he thinks that these agencies or these groups are going to come to his aid. Why would they? I mean, why would you come to the aid of this person if you're a legit organization?
Richard, so I have to address two things that you brought up so far. Here's the deal. He is no Sovset. If he is no Sovset, then he sure as shit bit real hard when, who was it? MCC and freaking media tried to say you didn't need a license to drive. And here's the deal. Tried to debunk Dummy Kruger saying you needed a license to drive. That's like the whole Sovset argument. That's like one of their pillars.
So
second, the Stone Mountain thing, it was a bunch of armed African-American guys who stormed the Stone Mountain Park and basically wanted them to throw TNT at the carvings on Stone Mountain, which I think is fucking dumb. But that's what that was about. And nothing really happened. But that's also the difference between Georgia and Massachusetts.
Rich, what is funny?
Nazi Roach.
It's Sovset adjacent, at least. And remember, these things are spectrums. These guys don't believe everything all the same. They're not homogenous. They have various beliefs, but they have similar themes on their belief threads. But we're seeing from
frauditor, a Sovset, and Moor walk into a bar.
Yeah, that's what we're experiencing right now. Yeah. But
frauditor, Sovset, and Moor walk into a bar, and then they all immediately go to jail.
But they're all buying into this idea, this belief that that people will view what they're doing as legitimate. They honestly think what they did was legitimate. If he has a driver's license, if the he is Jamal in this situation, then why did he not provide it?
I think he's talking about here's the deal, has a driver's license.
Maybe.
So that would put him more into the I'm smart enough to have a license because I know what I preach is absolute garbage.
Or it's possible. So like I said, there's various flavors and various levels of this belief set. Maybe he has a license because there's a lot of soft sits who do that. They'll have the license and they'll do stuff. They'll believe one thing but do another because they know of the legal trauma they'll suffer.
Shit. Do we know if here's the deal is selling guru packets? That sounds like a guru type thing.
That's when you reach peak soft sit, when you start selling guru packets.
Yeah, he's smart enough to know what he's peddling is bullshit.
Actually, no.
But he knows that there's a lot of uneducated people underneath him that will buy that shit up.
I think license plates is where you reach peak soft sit when you sell that. No, what I'm saying is like there's various levels. They're not all the same. It's not a cookie cutter, guys. You can't be like, oh, it's a quarter, it's a dime, it's a nickel. No, they all are very like flexible and they all have their own little different take on things. But like in this shot right here, this frame right here, you can see the guy on the green screen. He's the in-between guy, very soft city, is friendly with the frauditors, friendly with the Moors. They traveled.
That's the best sovereign citizen. That's the best frauditor joke I've seen. How many fraud cards does it take to change a light bulb? 3, 1 to hold the bulb, 2 to spin the ladder. Hell yeah.
Wait, no, that's incorrect because there's no one yelling at somebody.
Yeah, well, they're 4 because somebody has to be holding the camera yelling at them.
Yeah. And demanding
selling custom Gucci fezzes is peak guru.
They have to be complaining and wanting a complaint form. You have to have a 4th person who wants a complaint form. Oh, and demanding badge.
You got to be trying to file a FOIA request.
And demanding badge numbers. You have to have the badge numbers or you're just not there.
You guys are killing me. These 3 groups are a very small Venn diagram of stupidity. If you guys ask Tones,
it's like a.
If you guys ask Tones, very nice, he'll probably make you a diagram.
Yeah, Tones could do it. Is Tones still here?
No.
Oh, it's too bad. You should have been here for this, because this is peak fuck around and find out from these guys. They got off lucky on this one.
KFARR reacts as for Stone Mountain relates to gun laws. Either 100 with guns is legal or not. As for here's the deal. Well, that's what I was saying. Seeing as how it was a state park for Confederate generals and the president of the Confederacy during the Civil War. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but the South tends to be pretty pro-gun. If your accent changes and you start sounding like this, you probably like guns. If you're from Massachusetts, you probably don't.
These days.
So it's not like, it's not. Yeah, back in the day, they were probably all about that shit.
I mean, keep in mind, the first shots heard around the world took place in the
but you get what I'm saying. It's not like
New England.
It's not. Every single state has different gun laws necessarily, but it's like it's the difference between Texas and Michigan gun laws, or even what I'm familiar with, Ohio versus Michigan gun laws, which is completely different. But it's just how they roll, how they feel about certain things. Like you could probably do that all day, every day in Texas, and nobody would bat an eye.
No, they would.
But they did it in Massachusetts, and it shut down a whole city.
Time, place, and manner. The legal concept of time, place, and manner comes into play.
Somebody said that earlier, and I meant to bring that up. Because if you were at a gun range and 10 people came and did that, you would just be like, okay, it's a gun range. Like it's a bit odd.
No,
but nothing out of the ordinary.
The thing is like you arrive at said gun range, you go to the back of your truck, or your van, you open it up, and then you pull out your battle belt, click it on, put on your plate carrier, load your mags, grab, you stuff your mags, put them in the pouches. You take your weapons in their cases up to the tables, put them on the tables, open them, check clear, place them facing downrange. Then when the time is right, you go out, set up your targets, come back to the firing line, and then again, when the time is right and the range is cleared hot, you load your weapons and you start shooting. That's great. If you show up to the gun range and step out of the truck with a fucking strapped AR, battle belt, plate carrier, battle rattle all on you, if there's an RSO there, they're going to come up to you and be like, whoa, dude, what are you doing? You're behind the firing line. You are.
Oh, apparently.
That is not how we do things.
William Foley, thank you for the $5. I see Turdbit has moved on from being S. Elmo's main squeeze to being Talcum X2. Hey, Talcum X lost his Twitter account. Sad day for the universe, said literally no one ever. Yeah, I tried to make my thumbnail for this video extra classy by throwing KFARR El Bay in there. Oh, God, it's like I don't even want to do the rest of this video because it hurts.
Well, we got to. You started this. It's now you have to suffer. So.
And we're only 31 minutes in, and I skipped some bits.
Get to the good bits.
Yeah, it does. It kind of depends on the governor of your state, but it also depends on which way the legislature of your state swings.
It's more on your legislature.
Because I know in in Michigan, it's so sketchy. We've literally had a constitutional carry bill just sitting there for years because nobody wants to try to do it with our current governor and being like all how she is and all that jazz.
Is yours Governor Whitmore?
Yeah.
You have I almost got kidnapped governor?
Yes, that's exactly it.
Where the FBI, like 3 out of 4 people in the kidnapping attempt were FBI?
You were it was like the Spider-Man meme where it was just all Spider-Man's pointing at each other.
Yeah.
It was just all the FBI pointing at each other. Oh God, all right.
For a second. So I would love if they can get involved somehow. Because
All right,
everything I'm saying, the courts, they're just not hearing it because I'm the one saying it.
Okay, here's what I want to do personally on my end is I want to make like an 8 to 10 minute video that distills everything that you just said. And what I'd like to do is maybe get with you. Just if you can address, I'll write it down and we can, or I can give you my phone number later on or whatever.
Yeah,
we can
yeah,
talk.
yeah.
But I would.
Ed Steve says good night. Also, if Here's the Deal makes a video about Jamal, I will immediately make another video debunking the entire fucking thing. Because reasons.
I can't even believe
I would like
this.
to distill it because
God,
unfortunately people's attention spans are very, very short. So you have to do it in 8 to 10 minutes and get out of there, or nobody's going to watch unless it's compelling. Then they'll stay around for 20, 25 minutes. But I'll get with you and I'll get with Fake Mike Real News, and we can get together and collaborate on something and put together, a video that can go on everybody's channels.
Yeah, that sounds
And
good.
when is your sentencing supposed to happen?
So I haven't been tried yet. The trial date is scheduled for February. The prosecutor's trying to change it to the 28th now, even though this date has been set for months.
February?
Oh,
Am I getting that right?
We got to bully
Okay,
Talk with Mike to cover that trial.
I was gonna say, let me hit play and then I'm going to go write down. I kind of heard a little bit of what happened with Triggered Limey. If you would like to tell me more,
With what?
but yeah, let me go write this down. Triggered Limey. I guess he's having some health issues, but I only know like
Don't know.
that much of what's going on. He's a UK person who runs in this realm of YouTube. But yeah, let me go write the 28th or 26th down on my calendar because that would be cool to show, or at least talk about.
Oh yeah.
I just filed a new motion to dismiss Novo because he can use case law from 2009 in California to say that our arms aren't protected by the Second Amendment. But then the next day, the federal courts in California said that they were protected by the Second Amendment. So I at least want to have a new hearing, and if I need to, then appeal to the federal courts to settle this, because it's technically the federal question to settle the federal
Did he up the speed?
or are these arms protected or are they weapons of war? Because if it's more, if
I
it's
think he upped the
commonly
speed.
in a Ford F-50 series or whatever it is, then obviously, and if the federal court's saying it, then obviously there's res judicata effect in Massachusetts that they have to accept that.
Did all the disclosure statements for everything that's going on?
Are you talking about discovery?
Yeah.
There are two of my co-defendants, or at least one of them, that have
KFARR.
allegedly made statements. I'm under like a protection order for that. I just haven't read it.
What?
Say it.
Sorry, just trying to get back. Wait, what am I looking at?
You may have sped it up. You may have sped it up.
Nope, normal.
Then the OG source
That's
did,
interesting.
because that was not right. But also, I
heard
think
it.
somebody
I'm
in
like,
chat, mentioned this, and that's a good point. What are the transportation laws in Massachusetts or Rhode Island, wherever they were? Because, like, I know in my state, if you're rolling around with a firearm on your person with no permit, like loaded rounds in the chamber or rounds in firearm, and they're in the same place. Oh, lost connection.
Yep, I'm here.
Do you hear me?
I now I'm
Okay.
seeing your connection go bad.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you now.
If you're rolling around like that, that's a big problem. Like, I think it might be a felony level crime, or at least like a heavy duty state level felony, to roll around like that. So that could have been one of the things. Like, and people have to understand, it's like, can you, like, in some states, it's like, can you conceal carry? Yes. If you're in your vehicle and you're concealed carrying, yeah, you can in some instances, but like in the state I live in, if you don't have a permit, you can still drive around with a gun in your car, but the ammo and the gun can't be in the same location, which is stupid as fuck, but it's still a law. So maybe he broke one of those laws as well.
Yeah, you didn't have to tell me
If
that.
he's bringing it, the fact that he's bringing it up means, it tells me that he's being charged with something along those lines as well. Yeah. So,
well, my whole thing is
he's rude. And I think it would be amazing to see the live stream of his trial. That would be awesome.
Oh, I would watch that. I would tune in all day.
I think everybody's going to. I think Law Talk with Mike would cover it. I think Natalie, the lawyer chick, is going to cover it. I think Natalie D is going to. I think everybody's going to cover it. I mean, you don't do the law tube space very much, but like,
George, you want me to cover a 40-minute video that starts off with you and Wrights Crispy on tricycles? I don't think I'm into that kind of thing. You might want to talk to Mr. Diddy, who dipped out earlier. Oh, God.
The fact that people keep coming in here and asking you to debunk things, the videos themselves debunk themselves.
Well, this is my thing about especially the frauditors that come into chat. Well, why don't you debunk this video? Well, why don't you debunk this video? Because it's already been done. To the point where it's like there's really no argument left between us debunking it and the federal court and state court affirming us debunking you. Like, it's really hard at this point.
You want to keep rolling with this guy? You want to keep rolling with Jamal, or do you want to go to the news footage? Because you could
I was going to try to
pull
go
up
to
the news footage of the whole thing. Yeah.
No one has debunked
because this guy is
video.
going to ramble on and on. Like, if you look at the timestamps.
Oh, God, George.
Just because it never went before a court
God.
doesn't make it not illegal or stupid.
Well, this is the problem.
Regale me.
How many frauditors have been debunked via being found guilty in court, federal or state. How many of late have had that happen? And instead of other frauditors going, oh shit, the debunking community was correct this whole time. They go, well, they haven't done this one yet. And it's like, okay, cool. Like, keep losing. If I was recording myself knowingly breaking the law, I probably wouldn't brag about it. But that's just me.
Well, remember, it's not that they don't win, they just don't lose. A lot of the times their cases just get thrown out. It's almost as if like, oh, and Mr. RN here is from Washington State. You're benefiting from some very lenient DOJ people in your state.
Look, we were just talking about the difference in gun laws between Massachusetts, New York, California, and Georgia. Like,
yeah.
But what did they say? Washington State did say that just because you have a YouTube channel does not make you a journalist. I believe that's where that one came from.
That is nice. That is nice. But it's also the state where people LARPed as police. Remember that? They had their own little pretend city.
Oh my God! Here goes. Here begins the excuses from George. Innocent people with shit lawyers and arguments lose, even if they're not guilty. Yeah, like 1 out of 100 times, George.
Facts are facts.
You know what also happens a lot? People who are guilty are found guilty. I know that's gonna blow your mind, George, Mr. 2-time felon facing federal charges. But it's like, at what point do you just have to grow some self? Oh God, never mind.
I do understand what I read. There. You spoke about Washington State. Didn't say you were there.
Yeah, I don't think anybody accused George of being in Washington State. We all know you reside in Florida, bud.
And please don't become another Florida man. I mean, I do love Florida man content on YouTube, but I don't want you to be that Florida man.
No. This is a 2-minute video that I found. It was the first one that popped up because it was from a Boston news place. So we're gonna watch this for a second.
Tales about the armed militia group called the Rise of Moors. You might remember it's been nearly a year since the Moors were at the center of a long police standoff on I-95 in Wakefield.
The case has gone quiet since that day. So where does it stand now? WBZ Chief Investigator Sharon Daka has some answers tonight.
We have the right to travel necessary stops.
The standoff was streamed live. Heavily armed, wearing tactical gear and body armor, nearly a dozen members of the Rise of the Moor standing out in the middle of the highway. The self-proclaimed militia group was traveling from Rhode Island to Maine and stopped on the side of Route 95 in the middle of the night to reef one of their trucks. It was July 4th weekend, and that stop caught the attention of a state. Say the men had no permits for the guns, and that hour negotiation, shutting down part of the highway. In the end, the men surrendered. Police recovered pistols, AR-15s, and rifles. In all, 11 were arrested. A host of weapons. The leader of the group, Jamal Latimer, also known as Jamal Talib Abdullah Bey, told the judge the court had no jurisdiction over them. 8 of the men have now been indicted. The I-team has learned 2 are still being held in jail. Latimer is in custody in Middlesex County. All of the cases are pending. The Rise of the Moors believes they are sovereign citizens of the treaty with the U.S. and Morocco and are not subject to state or federal laws.
I reassured them that these men here will not be pointing to them.
During the standoff, the men claimed to be peaceful and said they were on their way to private land in Maine to train a Moroccan flag. All of the members, including a 17-year-old, have court hearings this month, with trial scheduled to begin in August. Cheryl Fiandaca, WBZ News.
Hey, KFARR, I need to address something.
Oh, well.
First of all, Rogue, you don't get benefits. I said
One of
you're
us.
benefiting from a
Yes.
weak justice system. That's number one. Number two, if there really is a video where some frauditor managed to push cops out of a post office because they quote unquote don't have jurisdiction there, then those cops are idiots and should be fired, because guess what? They fucking do. Post offices, although they are federal property, even if they're contract facilities, remember this, frauditors, even if they're contract facilities, they are still local. The property, it's federally managed local property. I know that's hard for you guys to understand. I know it's tough to get through your skulls, but local police have the ability to operate there, and it's well within their jurisdiction, because to the local police, that post office is actually another local business, nothing different.
Bye,
But-
Richard.
Yeah, see ya.
Oh my God. It's like George tries to pick one word out of everything you say and tries to build a narrative around that singular word. Not the entirety of what you said, but the singular word.
Yeah,
It's like what they
no.
do with Supreme Court decisions.
He's like, oh, he says, nah, weapons. You said Rogue lives in what? Rogue Nation says, nah, weapons. You said Rogue lives in Washington. You get good benefits, blah, blah, blah. I said, you benefit from a weaker judicial system.
Yeah, and then that's when I went to go on to say about the difference between, some places have weird gun laws, like Massachusetts, New York, California, compared to Georgia, because some people are stronger when it comes to things and weaker when it comes to things. Washington seems to be pretty weak overall when it comes to law and order, if you will.
Right. They created their own little city within a city and had their own live action role play fucking police force, right? And that ended so well, didn't it? But like with the video you just showed with the news report sums it up, right? These guys, they pulled over on the side of the road. They get out to quote unquote refuel their vehicles. I don't know about you, but even just the act of refueling a car on the side of a highway is kind of sus. So if I'm a highway patrol officer,
Yeah.
that act alone, regardless of the fact that you're kitted out like a bunch of SAS guys going on a raid, that alone is enough to make me come over and ask if you need help. Like, I might come over and be like, hey, how's everybody doing? What's going on? But then
Yeah, exactly.
when that happens, there's no DLs, no driver's licenses. They don't want to talk. And the cop is
I
obviously
was just
like,
about to say, you noticed how none of what was in that news article managed to pop up in what we saw of that live stream? Like, oh, none of the weapons were registered. They
yeah,
didn't. Apparently, they said they didn't have jurisdiction over them. Oh, we can travel. We have the right to travel. It's like,
oh, he says that in his live streams, the 3 or 4 live streams he did. He's like, oh, we're just trying to exercise our right to peacefully travel. Peacefully travel does not mean you can drive around in your murder van full of 11 heavily armed people. That's not what that means. Now, can 11 people travel in a caravan or a couple of vehicles with some firearms? Sure. But not like that. That's not how you do it.
because I'm extra. Because I'm extra, I'm going to bring this up because I show it all the time at this point because it angers me. Oh, we're trying to use our right to travel. We're trying to use our right to travel. That's what falls under the right to travel. That's it. And
So-
it doesn't give extra bits onto that.
Okay, I don't know if this is going to dispel, if this is going to fix any misbeliefs or it's going to fix anything, but let me lay it out there. History teacher weapons is coming to the chat. All right, here's the deal. Right to travel. So the reason why that exists in the Constitution is because the states at the very beginning were very fiercely independent and very fiercely sovereign to themselves. And what they wanted to do was make sure that this federal government thing that was about to come about wasn't going to interfere with their ability to cross state lines. They wanted to make sure that if, say, for instance, you were in Pennsylvania and you wanted to sell something to New York, that the federal government wasn't going to fuck you over for it. Or if you wanted to just travel to New York to buy something, that there wasn't going to be some kind of federal tax or federal interference in that action. And they also didn't want the state of New York to make it impossible for the people of Pennsylvania to travel to New York to do what they were going to do. It was a very particular and very unique thing to that era, and that is why that exists. That is why all these right to travel things exist. It has nothing to do with you not having a driver's license. If you look at it, right to enter one state and leave another, right to be treated as a welcome visitor rather than as a hostile stranger. For those who want to become permanent residents, the right to be treated equally to a native-born citizen. That's there because the federal government realized, like, hey, we want to be homogenous here. We don't want you guys to all kind of be like your own little countries within a country.
I was just going to say, I forgot when this was, Sneeze First Row. I forgot when it was, but yeah, they didn't want 50 independent countries that just happen to fall under the banner of United States.
Right. They didn't want people to just run around and then be like, oh shit, that's the state border. I'm screwed. Like over there, the potatoes are cheaper, but I can't go get them because if I go over there, they're going to charge me this tax, or they're going to make this, they're going to make it impossible. So that is why that is there. It's not so that you can just not have a fucking driver's license. Good Lord. The lack of understanding of people.
When was, I'm drawing a blank here. Let me pull out my handy dandy notebook here to address the old, what was it? Hendrick v. Maryland, where some of these people want to pretend like needing a driver's license to drive is some new thing. And I'm like, yeah, that happened in what? I think it went through the Maryland court system in 1915 and was heard by the Supreme Court in 1917.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Wait, Rogue Nation.
Sorry, like that's been a minute.
Oh, Rogue Nation. He is a history teacher. How does he not know the Bill of Rights doesn't apply to state actions, this whole 14th Amendment? But it applied to the state actions all the time. Since it was, and also, by the way, the Bill of Rights doesn't apply to anything. Nothing except England. The Bill of Rights has nothing to do with anything. So, good job. Nice try. Nice try.
Well, George is self-taught from prison. He's got the same problem Jamal has.
Yeah.
Oh God.
What the fuck am I talking about? The fact that
this is what he does. You'll correct him, and then he'll play it off like, oh, it never happened.
Okay.
What was it? I'll never forget. I was on a live stream, and it was the Privacy Act of 1974. Let me double check that. Privacy Act of 1974. He said something. I corrected him, had to look it up. Sure as shit, I was correct, and now that never happened. That never happened.
Can someone please tell him that the Second Amendment is not in the Bill of Rights? It's not. It's part of something else. It's a much more important document. Historical relevancy. It's such a hard thing for people to get. It appears, KFARR, as if your little expose on that Moor fucktard has been derailed. Apologies.
Oh, no, that's absolutely fine.
Long of the short of it, people, that Moor, him and his 11 buddies or 10 buddies, they held up 95. And then when the police finally moved in, the details on that are still kind of fishy,
Well,
clouded.
apparently they used a what's it called?
Bearcat?
Horrific. The men arrested ranged in age from 17 to 40 and hailed from Rhode Island, New York, and Michigan, of course. Also, they said a child. The dude was 17. He's not a child. So there's that.
The first 10 amendments are the Bill of Rights. You're kind of right. They are some of what was put in the Bill of Rights. And those amendments are not word for word identical to the quote unquote Bill of Rights. And the second is, in fact, an amendment to the United States Constitution, an amendment that, if you knew your history, all of the amendments were something that were thought about quite a lot. Tell me, Rogue Nation, where do your rights come from? Now, the rest of the
monster in the sky.
Rest of the class, do not cheat. Do not help the student.
Waiting on you, George.
So an or question is not an answer. He gives us an or question. A question cannot answer a question.
I've seen this argument a lot from sovereign citizens and frauditors where apparently natural law and God's law says something along the lines of caterpillars, worms, and Jesus Christ wanted you to harass people with a camera. There it is.
It seems so.
Called that one from a mile away. Thanks, George.
Natural rights come from our creator. That's true. Civil rights don't come from your government. They are protected by your government. You have to understand that in the mindset of the framers of the Constitution, they try to build the most hands-off government they could possibly be. Now, I'll grant you, in recent years, decades, centuries, it's not been as such. But that's what they were striving to create. The Constitution does. I'm looking for one word from you. What does the Constitution do? What is the Constitution's role in your quote unquote rights? How does the Constitution blank your rights?
So, George, there's the question. What happens if you don't believe in God? What happens if you're an atheist? God didn't write our laws. What's your answer to that? I've just been seeing this come up more and more. This whole God's law nonsense. It's like, if you want to go around unaliving each other with rocks, I think I could get down with that.
Well, no. KFARR, natural rights aren't God's rights.
Well, he's talking about given to us by the Creator.
Some people interpret natural rights as that. Natural rights are just your rights
George,
as being alive, as being a person.
George just did. Creator can mean God or nature, whatever you believe. I don't think you want to know what my Creator tells me.
He's not wrong in that in terms of like your beliefs versus my beliefs versus his beliefs. But what I'm getting at is, what is the role of the Constitution in terms of those rights? I'm going to give it one more minute. They are enshrined. So when there was a lot of fierce debate about adding amendments to the Constitution because people thought, hey, if we make a list of rights, then anything outside of that list could be possibly restricted. So, and that went back and forth, and it actually caused a bit of a problem when they were trying to ratify the Constitution amongst the original colonies. It was a big to-do. It was a very big problem. But in the end, they did end up ratifying those first 10 amendments. There is no role. People change their natural rights for the civil rights the society they join believes everyone should have. No, I think maybe you meant they change their natural rights for the society they believes everyone should have. No. Yeah, Society Red is correct. You really need to look at Thomas Hobbes' social contract theory. And social contract theory is a great point. I love that. Thank you, Society Red. Thank you that you brought that up. KFARR, are you aware of the Thomas Hobbes social contract theory?
I've heard of it.
Okay, so basically what it is, and if we look at the video you just showed us about this Moor, right? This Moor guy. And he's sitting on the side of I-95 in upstate New England with 11 heavily armed dudes. I make air quotes with my fingers, refueling his gas tank, right? Based on societal contracts, does any of that make sense? Like if you're driving along, the social contract theory is basically like, hey, I'm going to do what makes societal sense for the people I'm with and or around in my society to get along with and progress my society. They are violating that contract by standing there on the side of the road, pumping gas out of their gas cans in combat gear. So of course, a law enforcement officer is just going to roll up on it and be like, the fuck you guys doing? No. Hold on. What did he say? The natural right to self-defense is not the same as the right to bear arms, a civil right. As a civil right, perhaps? No. So the natural right to self-defense is inherent to the right to bear arms. You're missing the point. Yes, even cannons. You can own a cannon. Just ask Scott from Kentucky Ballistics. He owns a cannon. But like, you can own cannons. In fact, the United States Navy wouldn't exist. We wouldn't be a nation if private citizens could not own cannons. That's not the point. You're missing the entire point. It's not about the weapons. It's not about those. Those are tools.
Yes, the cavemen didn't have laws. Basically, whatever they could do, that's what was allowed. Oh, God.
Why do I feel like I'm speaking to
a rock,
like
a wall,
like
an inanimate object?
a chat GPT with like, and I apologize if this offends anyone with like with autism or something. I really feel for those autistic people. I don't want to offend them.
I love it how it's, when my argument doesn't make sense, let's talk about cavemen.
No, firefighter. So yes, no, God didn't say in the Bible or anything like, oh yeah, you can get to keep and bear arms. No, it's not like that. It's more of a natural right. Like, oh, because you're alive, you can protect yourself, and to protect yourself, you can have these things. Also, so that if we want to, we can call up a militia to fuck up anybody who decides they want to come in and take our country.
Oh, fucking A.
So we come back to the original question, right? These dudes were on the highway, heavily armed, plate carriers. We've seen them, plate carriers, light weapons, 5.56 rifles, shotguns, long guns, sidearms, comms gear. Like if you watched his live streams, he had like a little radio piece in his ear. If we put all that together, let's ask the question. Is it the T word? Now, one has to know the definition of T word.
I feel like in the grand scheme of who we have called the T word, if you will, they've probably come the closest that we've seen in recent memory, maybe. Because if you want, I mean, we could talk about the old definition real quick. Just in the first sentence of the definition, is the use of intentional violence and fear to achieve political or ideological aims. I would say shutting down a highway. Right. Yeah, I would say shutting down a highway and making an entire city near that highway shelter in place. I would almost count that as using fear. What's it called? Using fear to achieve a political or ideological aim.
So, yeah, but to his credit, he made a lot of effort to at least say he wasn't doing anything to cause that. Like, he was very, very careful not to, like, make that a thing.
That's what I'm saying. Like, in recent memory, the rise of the Moors have come the closest. Because let's be real, like, a lot of these people just are, how to politely say this, too uneducated to realize, like, oh, I do need a license to drive. Oh, I do need to register my car. Oh, I can't just sign this piece of paper with crayon and hand it to you and say, oh, I now own this $4 billion house. Like, that's not exactly the T word, but this was pretty close.
Yeah, and I think this one, because if you look at what they were doing, where they were doing it, they were on I-95. I-95 is a major interstate highway. It's going to gain national attention instantly, and it did.
And like I said, because of this case, and because they were in prison for so long, it had Moor's. I think I covered 2 videos of police having to arrest people in the parking lot where these people were trying to demonstrate, because shockingly, they didn't have their cars registered, they didn't have licenses, and they were just showing up. So it's like they got the attention at first, and then they kept getting the attention. Oh, God. Can we ignore
the thing is
please?
that
it's like talking to a dried up pickle.
Apparently, I'm being very good at being stupid. You're not the first person to say that. I have an ex-wife. But like, you look at the situation. You're on an interstate highway. You end up attracting the attention of the state police. You wait around long enough to get, like, could they have not just like jumped back in their truck and just drove away? Right? Is he frozen from anyone else but me?
Oh no, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay.
I'm trying to Google like 2 different.
They could have done all that. They could have just ran away. But they stayed. They stayed. They endured the standoff. And when the standoff started to break down, what'd they do? They bolted. Those that have not done anything wrong, don't run.
Oh God. It kills 17-year-old involved in dumb shit. They basically ruined a kid's life because they're like, oh, Morocco conquered North America.
Well, I put a video on your Discord where a meth mouth woman and her adult daughter, blue and purple hair, so you know where we're going with this.
Yeah.
And purple haired daughter had her kids in the back seat, and she went to fucking crazy town on the cops at a Taco Bell. It was, and that's the problem. These aberrant psychological profile groups, the frauditors, the sopsits, the Moors, and even just your regular old like criminals, they bring their kids into the life early, and that's how this keeps going. That's how this keeps happening. It's a cultural problem. You continue to see it. The 17-year-old was being groomed. You hear this a lot, and a lot of people like to discount that term. It's a real term. It happens. In history, you can see it. Go back in history and look for something. Google Hitler Youth. I don't like using that H word, but Hitler Youth were a real thing. And that's where you got a lot of the SA, then future SS, and other people. Well, probably not the SA, because they were kind of wiped out before Hitler Youth became a thing. Might have long knives and all. Yes, Snipeman's wife, they do indoctrinate. They indoctrinate, and they're not doing it like organizationally, intentionally. They're doing it through more of a conditioning thing. They're just conditioning their kids. Like you can see it in the one video that I sent KFARR. The kid, you can hear the kid wailing in the background, watching their meth mouth grandmother go ballistic on the cops, and their mom trying to help unarrest her at the same time. That's going to affect the psychology of a young child severely. These kind of things, they just taking a 17-year-old on a Moor gun range trip up to the quote unquote, and they said this, they have property, aka a compound. I said, somebody in chat said it, like, oh yeah, we're just heavily armed dudes going up to camp on our compound, and we have an alt belief of how the government works. Like, yeah, no, you're kind of broaching the T word. What do you think, KFARR? Do you want the chat to make a decision on that?
Yeah,
because I'm not really sure, because I don't see a political threat. I'm kind of on the fence.
I don't see a real political threat. They want to be a political threat. Their ideology's so weak that it would be different if like a large pro-gun group decided, oh, we're going to take over a highway, and there was thousands of people doing it because they wanted to change the government. I feel like these people want to change the government, but their ideas are so ass backwards that people are like, nah, we're good.
I don't think they want to change the government as much as they just want to they're trying to protect their wackadoodle version of the world. Remember, they see themselves as this like weird, like expatriate group.
Marty Taylor. Every time they start with the Morocco defeated the U.S. bullshit, they need to be detained until Morocco sends somebody for them. It goes back to, oh God, I want to say she was a sergeant, possibly, where she's like, oh, cool, you're a foreign national. What embassy do you belong to? I'll give them a call.
Yes.
And then they're just like, no,
yes.
And it's like, okay, that kind of proves the point.
Yeah, that is the best way to handle it, is like, what? Okay, you're a foreign national. Cool. Let me call your embassy.
Yeah.
Like I've been to foreign countries under not a passport, but under NATO orders and military orders, and like you get taught like, and I got a foreign driver's license, like a international driver's license, which is it's kind of similar to your passport. It basically says like, yeah, this dum he knows how to drive a car in our country. Hopefully he can drive it in yours. And if he doesn't, call these idiots and they will fix it. But like, like if you get trained, like, hey, if you get pulled over and you're talking to the cop, here's the number. Like you get a card when you get in the country. Somebody from the embassy will come. Sometimes it's like Air Force, OSS, Office of Special Investigations, OSI, or sometimes it's a State Department person. They'll come. They'll give you a card. Like, hey, are you a driver? Yeah, I'm going to be driving this trip. Okay, here, take this card, and if something happens, call this number, and you have a number to call. And that's why she did that, because she must have known. She must have had like some experience in that department, and she knew they were completely bullshit. But she was like, oh, okay, well, let me call your embassy and we'll sort it out. Because there are back channel ways that they sort these things out in foreign countries. Because Jesus Christ, when I was in Italy, I really don't want to be Uzi'd to death by a bunch of Carbonari. No, thank you.
Dear Lord, 2 hours and 22 minutes. Oh God, I think I'm gonna call it.
You never even got to
call it a day.
You never got to the story part of your video.
No, I did not.
But we did cover the crux of the argument, which is basically that this guy Jamal, what did he do? He held up a highway, shut it down, caused a manhunt throughout the local area.
What is the other one that I was reading off of? I forgot the other link because I cleared it. Fucking A. But no, I posted the link. It's just a Wikipedia link. Yeah, I'm yawning. I'm struggling. For some reason, I can't sleep. So yesterday I was up until like 5:30 and then woke up at 8 because
we all know the reason. Same reason I don't sleep.
Whole thing. But no, I shared that link. That's the gist of what happened. It's Wikipedia, but it's along the same lines of every single other news outlet. Oh God, George,
I think what he's trying to. I think what he wants you guys to understand is that these Moors are extremely dangerous. You have to really.
I've talked about it a bunch. Of the three groups, I think Moors are the most dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, ask Loki.
And it's like, we've been saying it forever.
Loki Fish and Slayer?
Yeah.
She was there for that Pittsburgh thing
Yeah. And it's
on
just
the
like,
Leo
it seems
side
like
of
as,
the equation.
yeah, heck, well, I was hoping not on the Moor side. Rogue, we don't want to hear about what you and Wrights Crispy, good old Fenton Vargas, do in your free time, bud. No, it just seems like as time goes on, Moors are, I don't know, devolving the quickest. Because at the end of the day,
Yeah,
auditors are doing it because it makes them money. Most know and are smart enough to know that what they're doing is illegal, but they're going to do it until they catch some charges, take some plea deals to get out of it, and then they did right off into the sunset, never to be heard from again. And then you have some of the lower IQ ones, like our boy George here, he's too far gone. He's too old, too fat, too lazy to do anything else but this. But he's not dangerous. They're just going to, like I said, they ride off into the sunset in the fraudulent community. The sovereign citizen community, eventually they just end up in jail. 20 driving while suspended eventually will catch up with you. But Moors will go from squatting in a house to having a compound where the boys are about to go fight World War III. But we just have to drive through a few states first.
Yeah, it's kind of like the frauditors they're about making money. The sov sits are about saving money. And the frauditors,
See, they're about saving money.
am I still here? The Moors, they're more about like aggressively taking something, whether it's a house or propaganda, like what this was, like a media spot kind of thing, or something like that. Because the frauditors, they're all about making money. That's all they do.
No, that's why they post everything on YouTube.
Sits, yeah. The soft sits are all about saving money. Every single, like,
Not
I don't
registering
know.
a car, not doing their driver's license, not getting insurance.
Yeah. But the Moors, they're more about like, hey, we're going to aggressively assert some kind of power move. We're going to take this house. We're going to
make Morocco great again.
Yeah. Don't you know? North America is part of Morocco.
New York is that was the greatest thing I've ever heard. Apparently, to them, Morocco or New York is actually Timbuktu. How that happens, I don't know.
But if chat, you guys should check out FT's video, Frauditor Troll's video on the on this same guy, Jamal. Yeah, make Morocco great again.
All right.
I mean, if you listen to these guys, it's pretty great already.
Yeah, apparently it took over the entire planet. The sun never set on the Moroccan Empire. They were England.
If you listen to if you listen to his live streams, he actually calls Massachusetts. He says, "We're in the colony of Massachusetts."
Like, are you a time traveler, sir? George reached his level of stupidity, or he reached his level of listening to stupidity. It's the Moors and your own people, George. I'm sorry that you don't like that. Will Morocco pay your bills? No. Will Morocco claim you? No. They were kings.
Bye-bye, George. Nice talking to you.
George Metz has left the chat. All right.
Good.
I'm going to get out of here because I need
freaking moron. What another
It's the same
pleasure.
conversation with him. It's the same conversation with him every single time.
Yeah.
It's, hey, what about this video? Well, what about this video? Oh, you mean the videos that are exactly like all the other videos that I've talked about? Okay, cool. And then you ask him a question. You notice he didn't answer mine. Hey, George, where's your video of what did I believe what's up with the when was your last video of your community and the rash of kitty touchers being in it? Like, where's that video? Oh, you're never gonna make it. Okay. A DMA getting convicted on something that he said he wouldn't get convicted for. Where's that video? Oh, it doesn't exist. Where's the video of you taking responsibility for breaking the law, catching a felony, and then you going, "Damn, guys, I was wrong." No, that video doesn't exist. It's
Well, they won't
these
make that
people,
video
these
because
people had bad lawyers. That's why they're guilty. And it's just like, what about the
Yeah.
other 99 times?
it's that delusion again. They continue, despite all other evidence, they continue to believe that they're in the right, no matter what. No matter what. I actually sent you. It's in your Discord. It's in your Discord of the video suggestions. I sent you a.
Oh, you didn't just okay. Let me look.
No, it was a while ago. No, maybe I DM'd it to you, but there was a person that. No, I don't know where it went. Maybe it's not there. But I sent you a video of a person who did not seem Sob City. They were sitting in a library. They were chilling in a library, but the library was watching their internet activity, and they were sending like emails to the president, emails
that's
to all kinds of people.
There was one today where people. Well, that might have been it. The title was like, "Guy sending inappropriate messages or emails in a library." Was that it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. See, I thought the inappropriate messages were like some Chris Hansen type inappropriate messages. Apparently, he was just sending inappropriate shit to everyone.
Yeah, but when he got arrested, he started espousing Sobset ideology. He was like, "You don't have a right to arrest me. I'm a person. I'm a man. I'm a human.
I'm people. I'm people." I live
Yes.
outside of a Taco
Yes, he
Bell.
started going down the road. So unfortunately, despite all of your and the rest of the AKA what do you call your guys? The watcher, what's the community name? The watcher
Debunking.
community or debunking community? It's not working. It's spreading into the crazy zone. He was charged, but he was deemed unfit. He was deemed unfit to stand trial.
Oh, so he was like crazy. Not like our normal level of sovereign citizen crazy. He was like legitimately like, that sounds like a good idea.
But that is really key in like linking the mental aspect of this whole thing. When you have a guy who's starting to, he's yelling at the cop in the back of the police car to the point his voice goes bad about how he can't, like, you can't do this, you have no right. If you know this, like, he's not coming right out and saying it, but if you know the terminology and read between the lines,
if you've been around the block a few times, you're just like, I've heard that before.
Yeah, I've heard all of this before. You link directly to that guy, to this
I've heard this before, but out of a less crazy.
And then at the very end, and then at the very end is when you get the little blurb that says that he wasn't even able to stand trial because he was so Looney Tunes. You're like, holy shit. Finally, a court looked at one of these people and like, you need an evaluation.
Person needs help. Yeah, I've only seen that a few times. I think it was like the case you're talking about, and then it was what was it? That guy who said he was a lawyer. It happened like I want to say a year ago.
Yeah, I think I know about that lawyer. But the point is that between like Jamal, the Moor, and his delusions about, like, he honestly feels he did nothing wrong.
Yeah, it's like, my guy, take a step back, grow some self-awareness, and watch any of the news articles about you.
If you look at
what happened from the outside looking in.
They're not all, Yvonne says that they're all con artists. They're not all con artists. They are in that sphere, but some of them honestly do believe what they're doing is just. And I think this Jamal guy honestly feels that if he doesn't, he's a really good actor and he could be a con artist. He could be one or the both, 50-50 chance. Either he believes it or he's just conning us. One or the both. Some of them do believe it and also try to play the con. But no, like when you look at this Jamal guy, he holds up I-95 to fuel his truck. Come on. How long did they sit there on the side of the road doing that before a cop came round? Right.
How many gas cans did you use before you're like, shit, it is taking forever for someone to pay attention to us? Mrs. SC,
Right.
what is
30
that?
like Mrs. SC, how are you tonight? But yeah, imagine like you're sitting there pouring. What are they doing? Like they're like just kind of like little tiny pours into the thing.
Oh my God, why can I not click on it? Oh, because I'm doing it wrong. That's why.
The spice rack comment.
Travis Hines is crazy, but you have to admit he can organize a great spice rack. That's the guy who's I actually had a conversation with his supporters earlier, like all day. He's like, "Oh, he's not homeless. What do you call a guy who lives out of his car because he can't have a place to live? Normally, you call that person homeless." And I went into the good old thesaurus, my favorite dinosaur. I went into my favorite dinosaur, the thesaurus, and I pulled out synonyms for homeless. One was like unhoused, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, if he fits any of these categories, he is homeless. And the guy wanted to call me woke or whatever. But yeah, Travis Hines organizes a great spice rack going down the middle of his car. His toaster on wheels.
The one with the stuff on the ceiling? Is he the guy with the stuff on the ceiling?
Yeah.
With the spices hanging off the
like
ceiling? Oh my God. Oh my
human teeth and shit.
Oh, that is just cringe. Oh my God. Arturo, they've always had firearms, sadly. This is not a new thing.
All right. I'm getting off here because it is currently 12:07 and apparently I'm 33 now, so I'm going to go take my old ass a nap.
Shut up.
I'll see you guys
You're
later
young.
at like 8:30. I got to make that trip to Ohio at some point today, and then I'll get a pizza and then jump on a stream.
Someone tell this guy that he is young. 33 is young. He should not feel old.
Nah, tell my back that. My back and knees. All right.
Who are you talking to?
Hey.
All right. See you tomorrow night, guys.
Yeah, guys, it'll be like 8:30-ish, 9 o'clock-ish. We should have something to play. Something will happen tomorrow. It's Friday. On that note,
I'm sure some idiot will do something tomorrow.
Oh, 1,000%. All right, guys. Bye.